I thought this was interesting. Um, I'm going to pull this up from the Observer because he has the most up to date information. But it came out. When did it come out? 3 days ago. Um, on August 27th, Mark Shapiro, the president of Endeavor and president of COO and and COO, Chief Operating Officer of TKO, led a meeting at the headquarters in Stamford. When the meeting was over, Russell Votes reported that he said the WWE would be moving developmental from Orlando to Las Vegas. And then Dave said we quickly checked and heard back from someone in WWE that there would likely be a developmental system based in Las Vegas based on the conversation, but it was not clear if it would be one in Vegas or two, with the other being in Orlando. Immediately after the first tweet, everyone in Orlando was in a panic as nobody had any hint of this. Another person close to the situation noted us that months ago there was talk of developmental in Las Vegas. This would make the NXT show at the Apex make more sense and comes at the time of the decision to possibly expand the Apex. But they hadn't heard anything in months regarding that. In Orlando, it was said that absolutely nobody here had a clue. One person in WWE told us that there were a few that were tipped off but kept quiet. We were then told at the meeting, Shapiro brought up Vegas, how they added teams and yada, yada, yada. Later, we were told that the plan for developmental there, but also retain the Orlando base and have two bases. But it's more of an idea for the future, and it's not like it's imminent. So Russell Votes is still of the opinion that they will be moving to Orlando. There's conflicting, or they're moving. The NXT is moving from Orlando to Las Vegas. I think that's still that could be on the table. So now that's the most up to date. So WWE is refuting that. There's now it looks like there might be two PCs. I don't know how that's all going to work. I think it makes the most sense for them to combine all of their operations into Las Vegas with TKO. But they do have a stronghold in Orlando, so I don't think this is going to be an overnight thing. I don't think this is going to be a thing that happens right away. They just pull the plug on the Performance Center in Orlando. They got a lot of money and invested into that Performance Center. They got a lot of money invested into that community there. A lot of people that work for WWE are based and operate out of Orlando. A lot of the talents are in Florida. So they would have to uproot and upend a lot of people if they wanted to move it over to Las Vegas. That doesn't mean they can't do that. Look, when TKO and WWE merged, or not TKO, when WWE and UFC merged to form TKO, they were going to consolidate a lot of their operations. I think that this is a real possibility that they move to Vegas. Not overnight, but I think it could happen slowly over time through attrition. Okay. Why am I bringing this up on the Brace for Impact show? Bill, because we've been talking here for months about the possibility that TNA would be moving back to Orlando, that they would be moving to Full Sail University. Now, I wrote a column this week, and I want you guys to go check it out. It's on the Patreon. It came out 3 days ago when this thing. Now, I didn't have all the information then that I have now. I didn't have Sean Ross Sapp was really the only guy at the time that got information from WWE and was refuting it pretty immediately. And it seemed like Meltzer and Alvarez were backing up Russell Votes, and Russell Votes doubled down on his story. He was pretty confident in it. Now, Russell Votes is not like a journalist or a reporter, but he does get some stuff specifically about NXT. He actually has like sources there. Clearly, because like the meeting that he talked about with Mark Shapiro absolutely happened. The only discrepancy is exactly what was talked about. But here I'm going to read this from my column, and I want you guys to go and check it out and support the column, please. But earlier this year, the scumbags at PW Insider posted a story that TNA was looking at going live every week from Full Sail, the former home of NXT. Shortly after D'Amore got fired, TNA struck up a relationship. So shortly after that, D'Amore got fired, and then TNA struck up a relationship with NXT. So let me just explain the timeline. D'Amore started getting Jordan Grace in the Royal Rumble, but that was it. But that did crack the door open for them to work more. So D'Amore gets fired, and then in June is when the NXT and TNA relationship starts. So I just want to get the timeline there. Okay. So they struck up a relationship with NXT, and TNA officials were hanging out in Vegas at the Apex for NXT Battleground. Now, it seemed after that the talks about going to Orlando cooled off. So, yes, Dave Meltzer, and I believe I think Dave Meltzer reported that Lou D'Angeli, who had just gotten fired, was the point man for the Full Sail deal, and then it was off. But then I think PW Insider refuted that, and then the following week, Dave Meltzer said no, that it was yes, he was the point man, but it still could be in play. And then I heard immediately that no, it was in fact still in play. And Full Sail, as far as I know, has never been completely taken off the table, and going live has never been completely taken off the table. Now, I speculated that it was possible that TNA officials could have gotten word that NXT could be leaving Orlando as early as June. Because shortly after that, we finally got a fourth quarter live event schedule, and all the doom and gloom posts that I feel and several people feel were actually coming from the Scott D'Amore camp. That it was getting leaked to Meltzer that there was a lot of negative stuff happening in TNA, and then they didn't have a fourth quarter schedule posted, which at the time they hadn't had it posted was pretty normal for them. It's not like it's like it was pretty far out for them to be talking about all that stuff. So and I think a lot of people thought that if they were going to go to Full Sail anyway, it would probably be in 2025. We still don't have 2025 dates. Again, that is normal for TNA not to have 2025 dates, this far out. We're starting September tomorrow, so like that's 3 months away. That is a completely normal thing. So why do I bring that up? Is because I think this Full Sail thing could be a real possibility, with the fact that the PC could be moving, not overnight, but it could be moving. But if you think about it, NXT, the first bunch of NXT dates when they go to CW are actually not in Orlando. Like the first one is going to be in Chicago, and then the second one is going to be in St. Louis. And then I think they have some joint shows with Raw. Like they're going to be kind of piggybacking off of Raw for a little bit. I think they're going to try to have NXT in some bigger arenas around the country. They're going to at least attempt it. And as you guys have noticed, TNA has had a presence in Orlando every single week on NXT for months. It started with Jordan Grace in June, and it continued over in July with Joe Hendry and the Rascals. We even had Kazarian, who famously dumped out Joe Hendry, and Joe Hendry's just okay with it and has never gotten his heat back. Anyway, moving on. And then, of course, this past Tuesday, we saw Rosemary. Now, Rosemary's not a talent that NXT would ever want. Nothing against Rosemary. I just don't think, given where she's at in her career, I don't think that NXT would be wanting to bring her in and sign her, right? So with Jordan Grace, we've all been of the opinion that, when she's done here in TNA, she's probably going to be over there, which is why they would bring her in. That makes sense. Same with Joe Hendry. The Rascals make sense because the Rascals were there. Like Zach Wentz was a fixture on that show for a while. He got fired. All has been forgiven, and now they're bringing it there. He's kind of back in the fold a little bit, but I don't think he's a guy that's going to go to NXT imminently and leave TNA. I don't think that's the case with him, but he is a guy that their audience knows. But Rosemary is a unique situation. Their audience doesn't know, she was over when she got there, but she's not anybody that NXT is going to be bringing in. She's not anybody that their fans would be all that familiar with. Hold on, swig of coffee for Rosemary. So I just found that to be interesting. Now, why do I say all this? Could it be that TNA is working with NXT to condition the Orlando audience to get to know these TNA characters before they make a full-time move there for the television show? I don't think they're going to stop touring for TNA Plus specials and pay-per-views. So when I say Full Sail, going to Full Sail, I think that that's probably going to be the full-time home of Impact. Could be wrong, but that's just based off of the reports. And then now I'm seeing it. They're conditioning the Orlando audience to get to know TNA, and NXT very could possibly not be recording from the PC come October, like in a month. They could be leaving the PC, going live from the PC every week, and leaving a void there with like there's like 200 to 300 people that go to those shows every week. They get on a bus and they come over, and they're loud and proud, and it's just kind of like part of their culture now. Those people are going to have a void. Could TNA fill that void when they go to Orlando full time? I think that is something we all need to consider. It makes sense to me. Now, again, it is very likely that they're not moving from Orlando, that they're still going to have a presence there as far as the PC goes, but they could also not be doing the TV show there, which is where TNA comes in. I don't think it is I don't think it is I don't think it's going to be a net positive for TNA to go live every week if they stay on Access. I think they need a new TV deal. Nothing appears to be on the table. That doesn't mean that there can't be, but I think that that's a money losing proposition. But that doesn't mean that they won't do it. So I think that we all need to be on the lookout for that.